Thanks, and thanks for inviting me. And yeah, that was true 11 days ago that I was the head of a business unit called Networks and Public Safety. Since then, I have actually got a new position. I will tell you a little bit about that. No, that's fine. I know. But it is true. My name is Jessica Öberg. I work for Saab. Saab is this defense and security company. And maybe in this forum I need to tell that I do not sell cars. Cars is a spin-off out of Saab. We let that go in the 80s. So we're focusing now on building defense products like the firefighters, you know, the Gripen. We have cool submarines that we export around the globe. And we also do communication solutions to actually communicate with the planes to the ground, make sure that everyone is safe in that environment. We also do civilized or civil application, making sure that we are secure even in our everyday life. For instance, when you go to the Stockholm Arlanda airport, our products are there, making sure that we can get the planes on the ground safe and secure. So with that in mind, I'm very glad to be here. I'm very humbled to stand in front of all of you here to share my story in tech. And when I first got invited, I was like, there are going to be so many great stories in this room. Why should I take 30 minutes to tell mine? And it was one person that actually got me to rethink, reprioritize, and really get my butts out here. And that is my daughter. And I'll come back to her in a little bit, because I think this is what it's all about for me, to really inspire and give back what I have been getting from a very great work life. And hopefully I have quite some more years to come. So maybe there. That's one part of me. I'm 46, as it says here, and why focusing on age. You will see that in coming slides as well. But this is me today, and this is my professional picture of me. Of course, I'm so much more than just my work, but I'm here to tell you my story about it. So 11 days ago, I had a new position within Saab. Now I'm a senior vice president. I'm part of the Saab top management team, which is a great honor for me. And I'm now head of the sixth part of Saab, which is called Industrial Products and Services. Having both military solutions in my portfolio and civil applications, which is really challenging for me. It's a new product, there are new market areas, there are new business contacts, really, really challenging. But I think that's what my work life has been all about. Having the guts to say yes when there is an opportunity. I can feel really kind of small when I first start to think about the thing and say, oh, it's going to be so many great people there that also applies. Like I thought about this coming here to this event, that it's going to be so many of you that could have my place up here. But take the chance. Just do it. So I'm very glad that I got the chance. I'm going to go back now and tell you a little bit about my story. Maybe you also have this kind of picture somewhere back home. That's the style of the 80s. You see the big hair, and me and all my friends looked kind of the same back then. This is me applying for high school, 16 years old. Being an engineer, the tech field wasn't even in my mind. I went for a degree in economics, because that was most women did back then, and maybe still does. But what have happened then from there, being 16 years old, not really interested in this tech world, until today when I'm at the top management team at this really high-tech company out of 16,000 employees globally around the world. I'm a small-town girl. I've always been ambitious. I always studied hard, wanted to perform, but I never really had great ambitions. I never pinpointed myself being at the top management team, but I've always tried to do my very best at where I'm at. So today and here now, I'm trying to do my very best to get my story out to all of you. And I think that's what is important. Either you study for a test, you try your best, or for me, when I had my first position as an engineer, really try to deliver in my project. So it was kind of late in my years. I was 17 when I met this inspiring guy that taught me about computers, and he got me into the digital world. And back then, it wasn't as common with computers, and he opened my eyes and said, imagine what these computers could do in the future. I couldn't really see it there, but I got a college degree in computer science, and I really get a hang of this, the programming language, the digital language, because to me it made sense. Because if you could logically think about it, you can get a computer to do it for you. So I really, really enjoyed it. After 2 years as a consultancy in Stockholm, I took all the guts I had, and I got a position at Saab. This is 20 years ago, and my first position put me in the States. So I actually got to be a programmer in US for 3 years. I was even worse at English than I am today, so it took a lot of courage to just go there and get a work life in another country using a second language for me. But that's how you just have been doing it. Just dig into it, roll up your sleeves, and do the very best you can. There was 3 fantastic years for me. It just didn't develop me as a programmer and a project manager. It also developed me as a human being, to really see the differences between us and also appreciate what is important for me. So I joined Saab for 20 years ago, and I did that because of all the cool techniques. It was a high-tech company. It was a company that had all these high-tech profile products, services, and solutions. But why did I stay for 20 years? Yeah, still, the products are important for me. The cool techniques are important. But there is so much more. And Jonas here is going to help me a little bit and tell me why.
Early Monday morning is not my favorite. I just want to stay in bed, just for 10 more minutes. It's easy to get lost in daydreams, thinking about the weekend, longing for the next one. I guess that's what Mondays are for. Routinely leaving your kids at school, sleepwalking to the bus, casually kissing your loved ones goodbye, not thinking twice. I love that. In fact, it's my job. Because in my world, boring morning means we're doing all right. It means we're safe. That's why I'm a pilot. To keep my country safe, to keep my family safe, to keep everyone's boring mornings safe. 1,000 miles an hour.
That's what kept me with the company. The feeling of creating boring Mondays, creating products that keeps us safe. And I'm not a test pilot, but I feel like I found my place in this company. And that is our vision. And our vision has really grown on me. Back there when I was 20, joining this company, it was of the high-tech products. But as I grown older, I need something more out of my employer. I need to have a work and family life balance. I also need to feel like what I'm doing is important and are needed. And I really, really have bought into our vision. It's a human right to feel safe. Think about it. It's a human right to feel safe. I want each and every one of my close friends and family to feel safe. Even if they are citizens, just having their everyday life, we want our nations to be safe. I also want us all to be safe when we take vacation and go to the airport and we go out to meet other cultures, meet friends that isn't located where we're at. I also want all of us that are signed up, being our soldiers or policemen, firemen, that really do important and sometimes not so safe works. I want them to feel safe as well. And that's when I feel like we make a difference, Saab make a difference. So we have been in this business for 80 years in Sweden and 9 years later here in Finland. So we've been in Finland for 71 years. So we have had a long cooperation, Sweden and Finland. And in order to stay in business for such a long time, you need to be creative, innovative, you need to rethink and think in different kind of ways to actually stay on the market. And one way of doing that, that I think is really important, is to invest in your future. We spend 25% of our yearly turnover into research and development. That's a huge amount of resources that goes in that way. But important, because we take what we need for our military products and we turn that into the civil security part as well. You see different kinds of business that we do up here, all from helicopters. We have seen the fighters, we have seen or heard about the submarines. We see the digital air traffic control that actually we are world leading on, and the only one that are delivering system. In Sweden, you know, we have quite a lot of airports, but we have a hard time to man them and have them efficient enough to keep them open. With our solution, we could actually have a really northern part airport opened and run by another airport. That keeps all our country kind of open in a more efficient way. The market that I'm in and the business that I'm doing is all about being long-term commitment to our customers. And we call it our strategic wheel, and we have sustainability in the middle, because that is core for us. We're gonna be here for the long run. If you buy our products, it's not like a jacket that okay, this was an old-fashioned one, I'm gonna buy a new one the next year anyway. Our products could be there for 30 years. That means that I will be long gone when my product is out there. So we need to be sustainable. We need to be designing products that are maintenance and can continue to work with a customer for a very, very long time. And how do we do that? How do we stay innovative? Because we can't be innovative by ourselves. It's not like I could go into my office, sit there all by myself and say, I'm really going to try hard and come up with a new solution. No, to me, this is all about cooperation. You need to get inspiration from different parts of the market, different part of the world, different angles into a problem. And we do that with this cooperation with both other governments, other partners and companies, but also the academia. So for us, we have been working with universities around the globe for a long, long time. And I will tell you a little bit about a success story that is here, but we can develop it further. And that is what we just signed up for here in Finland with the Aalto University. Just this February, we signed a strategic partnership with this university. Because you are in the forefront when it comes to sensor and communication. And I think we can develop a win-win solution where we, as a company, could get access to new research results, but we can give you our international market and make sure that you are known into the international world for your great findings. So we just assigned our 2 first PhD students. They are employed by Saab, but they will work with the Aalto University into this. And we are committed for at least 10 years cooperation. And we're going to spend roughly around 20 million euros in this cooperation. And this is just one thing. that we do. I'm also going to tell you a little bit, Risto was asking earlier, what can we do to make sure we get more women into tech? This forum is a great example of what we actually can do. But I'll tell you a little bit about Arboga. Arboga is my hometown. It's a small town. We are just 15,000 people that lives there. But it's a convenient size of a town to work with from a company perspective, because you can work with all the kids and not need to specifically choose a few. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. We start and get all the 5 years to come out to Saab and find the fun of technology. And I really like this picture because you can see in this kid's eyes how nice and rewarding it is when he tried to just first blow in a glass of water and nothing happens. Then we just put a little drop of soap into it, and wow, this whole world is exploring. And he finds it so interesting. And that's a playful way to find the kids' way into technology and talk about technology in that way. We bring all the kids back, and we do this every year now for a couple of years back with the 5 years old, and then when they are in the 5th grade, we take them back. And that's when we start to talk about aerodynamics. We build paper planes and talk about what makes a good paper plane. How can we make it to go really far? And even if you have done this really great, good-looking plane, it might not reach very far. With small adjustment, you could actually make it go even further. So that's one way of really playful, get the technology into the kids' life. We continue then when the kids are in the 8th grade, just about to go to high school and make their selection of, should I go economics, technology, what should I do? We bring them back to Saab again, and then we talk about engineers. What are we doing all day long? What could a workday look like? What other kind of work are we doing at Saab? To just make sure they understand when technology is used in our products. And of course, we make them play a little bit as well, because we want them to stay creative. Don't think as looking at something and say, hey, this is exactly what to do. So actually, in May, when the last group of 8 was with us, we gave them, like this, plastic bottles, and said, hey, make a submarine out of this. And they all get so creative. And actually, they could make submarines out of a plastic bottles. And then, of course, we had to race them and see which submarine was the best one. So keep the playfulness. Then we have a really great cooperation with the community's high school. So we have what we call the Saab Technology High School, where we have 16 places every year for really motivated kids to read the tech program for 3 years, but in that program also visiting Saab, both in Sweden and on a global market, to get a little bit closer to production and what it's all about. And hopefully, after all that, we can assign a new test pilot like Jonas that we heard earlier, or we can find my replacement. Because we need to start at a really, really early age. It's too late for most people when they were in my age getting introduced into technology at 17. I think you need to start earlier. And this is one way of doing it. And of course, it could be tough if you're part of a smaller corporation or business. But take bits and pieces. Do your thing into this. I'm back to this picture. We saw it before. Yeah, we can count. It's been 30 years in between these two pictures. A lot have happened with me. I would never have guessed back then that I would stand here on a stage talking English to all of you and tell me about my story. Never. But it is important. And as I said, the only reason I'm here, or one of the biggest reasons that I'm here today, is my daughter. And I've asked for her, and she has approved for me to use her picture as well. Here we go. My daughter is today 16. It's 30 years between these two pictures. I would imagine that a lot had happened, that it would be obvious for her and her friends to, hey, I'm going to go to the tech industry. I'm going to be part of this industry where you can both make money and have fun at work. I get really, really sad realizing that that's still not the case. None of her friends were really into the high-tech business. None. That kind of scares me. And that makes me think, what and why can't we share more of the fun we have at work? Sure, my daughter gets the feeling because she listens in to me, and you remember the guy that inspired me getting into this digital world and learning to programming and all that. He wasn't just a great guy back then, he still is a great guy. In fact, he's my husband today, and he's an entrepreneur, and he's also the father of these kids. So he's into this high-tech business as well. So I think we have been talking a lot about tech in our household with both our daughters and their friends. But I think we have a lot more to do here. So I want to challenge each and every one of you here today. Now you heard my story, the doubt I had, finding the fun of it, deliver each and every position that I had, and be brave enough to say, yes, I will try it, I will get into this. But we need to have more of those stories. And I want each and every one of you to dig into you and say, hey, I also have a story. I'm going to share that with someone. And I want you to start sharing that story today, because I need to recruit a lot of engineers for the future. And I think that most of you guys that are working in companies has the same need as well. We need to be more in this field of high tech. So use yourself as an ambassador. See your own success and share your stories, because we will need it for the future. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica, don't go away.
Don't go, no.
We have time to go through some questions. You know, you're not done yet.
Okay, yep.
Sorry. And we received a lot of tweets about your fantastic presentation, on your story, on your daughter, on the great work on how you make Mondays boring. Good for you.
Yeah.
Keep it that way. We love boring Mondays, and we love, you know, these countries in the northern part of Europe are among the safest in the world, and we want to keep it that way. Thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
A lot of people have thanked you also for the investment you're making in Aalto University, a long-termism. That's a beautiful story in and of itself. But in your story, there is something surprising that, you know, that your husband, and that you revealed only at the end. That's good storytelling. With all of this inspiration, with all of these wonderful things in your family, still you recognize that you were not as inspiring for the next generation.
No.
Any more insights on that? People want to know. What can we really? If you and your husband, who are so inspiring, cannot get, you know, that community of girls excited, what did you do wrong?
I think we just took it for granted because we are so passionate about it. So we just kind of thought, hey, everyone gets that. But I realize now that no, that's not the case. We really need to focus on, we need to deliver this message. We need to talk about the fun we have every day. We need to explore and really invite them into our world and talk not just about, this is going to be a tough day, or I had this tough day. Really talk about the amazing people you meet, the fun you have at work, and all the new ideas that pop up in your head. Don't take it for granted.
You know, it's so important what you just said about the tech industry and storytelling. It's something that we're not very used to. It's surprising that 97% of our scientists believe that climate change is real, 97%. Still, almost 50% of the people in the US vote for Donald Trump. And that has a lot to do with our inability to tell the story of science, tell the story of technology. Anything, and it's wonderful what you're doing with young people in your Arboga, right? I'm sorry, I've never been there. I'm sorry.
No, and you're not the only one.
Okay. How big is Arboga? How many people live in Arboga?
We are just 15,000, but someone has to live there, and I'm one of them.
Yes, and there are great small cities. Yesterday, the great city or municipality of only a few thousand people had just won a prize for the work that they're doing in getting people excited about the technology fighting climate change. Let's hear it for the city of in Finland. They won the European Commission Award for for sustainability and fighting climate change in a small place. So these small Nordic cities are important in the work that you do there. What else could be done than blowing into some soap bubbles and things like that?
Yeah, that's just one. That's the bits and pieces of what you can do to in a playful way, teach kids to see what's in there. And I think also when you, like me, live in a small town, I had to travel the world during the weeks. I get so much influences. And I think it's important to also give that back to the community so the kids can see that, hey, you can live in these small cities, towns, but still travel the world and have a really interesting work because we are so digitalized, we are so global, so it doesn't really matter where you have your home and your loved ones. So I think make sure we have a global world where all the citizens are available for us.
Jessica, I want to thank you on behalf of everyone for sharing this wonderful story with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.